Because I don't think anyone can argue Caitlin Clark has changed the game. She changed it in college and in the WNBA. We know she broke all those records in college. But what was it about Caitlin that has just garnered so much attention and changed things the way that she has?
You know, Rihanna, obviously she's a basketball player, clearly, as you can see. But she's also an
Christine Brennan's explosive tell-all about Caitlin Clark has just become a #1 bestseller, and the WNBA is in an uproar over her game. Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports isn't just flying off the shelves, it's also exposing the league's dirty secrets about how they tried to sabotage their own golden goose.
Seems like every story or excerpt or interview that Christine does turns up the heat a little bit more on what Caitlin Clark's first year in the WNBA looked like and the lack of preparation from the league level to the players to, even logistically. This league was not ready for this phenomenon to take over.
What was meant to be a celebration of Clark's historic rookie season has instead turned into a scathing indictment of everything wrong with the WNBA's leadership. And now, panic is spreading through league offices faster than Clark's viral logo threes.
This league is full of drama, absolute drama. Now, we knew when Christine Brennan, the journalist who wrote the upcoming Caitlin Clark book, the stories emerging from this book is going to light the league on fire. I mean, seriously. We got an altercation between Brennan and Dejanay Carrington. It doesn't even have to do with the eye gouge, which we know Dejanay flipped her wig off over.
When a seasoned sports journalist like Christine Brennan, who's covered 21 Olympic Games and authored 7 books, decides to write an unauthorized biography about you, it's clear you've transcended sports and become a cultural phenomenon. But here's what has WNBA executives sweating bullets. This isn't a fluff piece about Clark's basketball skills. It is a comprehensive exposé revealing just how spectacularly unprepared the league was for the biggest moment in its history.
Spoke with somebody from the W who she did not name, and she asked that person, do you know how big this is going to be? And that person responded, yeah, this should be the biggest thing since Maya Moore. Now, Maya Moore is an all-time great player. Maya Moore has never sniffed what Caitlin Clark has meant to the profile of women's basketball. And Christine Brennan was shocked that they would compare it to that.
The success of Brennan's book proves something the WNBA has been desperately trying to deny. Caitlin Clark's influence extends far beyond the court even when she's not playing. While other players struggle to draw crowds to half-empty arenas, Clark has a book written about her that rockets to the top of bestseller lists. This is no longer just about basketball. It's about star power, cultural impact, and the uncomfortable truth that one player has become bigger than the entire league. Asterisk.
Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge. And to then see this negativity, like why and what should have been done? I looked seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it in Iowa. You see these TV ratings. And then...
Who else in the WNBA has a book written about them that becomes a national bestseller? The answer? No one. And that's exactly the problem. While veteran players complain about Clark's popularity and question whether she deserves a spotlight, the marketplace has delivered its verdict with brutal clarity. People aren't just buying this book because they love feel-good sports stories. They're buying it because they want the unfiltered truth about what really happened during Clark's transition to professional basketball.
People are doing a really good job promoting it for her. I mean, for the folks who are against the Brennan notion or the promotion, they surely are doing a lot of promoting for her. I mean, Dejanay Carrington.
Brennan's book reveals that the day after Clark declared for the WNBA draft, she called a top league official to gauge whether they understood the magnitude of what was coming. The official's response? They compared Clark's potential impact to Maya Moore's arrival in the league. Maya Moore, can you believe that? That comparison alone highlights just how catastrophically the league misunderstood what they were getting. Clark wasn't just another talented draft pick. She was a once phenomena who had already shattered every viewership record in college basketball history.
And this person said, well, this is probably the biggest thing that happened in the WNBA since Maya Moore. And Maya Moore is a great basketball player and deserved to have the kind of attention that Caitlin Clark is getting, but never got it. The notion that the WNBA wasn't ready for this, couldn't believe that this could happen, I think it's set in motion so many of the issues and the conversations we've had about the jealousy and the concern that we see from some of the players, the cheap shot hits, Kennedy Carter last year and Marina Mabry this year, Dana, that it just was the sense that that this incredible thing is happening to the WNBA, and the league seems completely, utterly unprepared for.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe. The book's success isn't just domestic, it's showcasing Clark's international influence to a global audience, challenging a narrative the WNBA is eager to control. Fans are traveling from places like Mexico, Hawaii, and beyond just to see Clark play. At a recent Las Vegas Aces game, supporters showed up in Clark jerseys, with many explaining how she sparked their interest in women's basketball. One fan from Hawaii told reporters, "I flew from Hawaii just to see Caitlin Clark. I started out following Caitlin, but I think she's definitely helped bring more attention to other players too."
Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Views from the Court. This is GT. Look, I just met a young fan right here who traveled over 852 miles to CCC. We gonna make sure you get this box checked off, all right? So y'all stay locked in, all right? Let's get it. I love you.
This global appeal is exactly what has the WNBA panicking. They're starting to realize that Clark's fan base isn't limited to American basketball. Fans, it's an international community of people who discovered women's basketball because of her, and these fans aren't loyal to the WNBA. They're loyal to Clark. When she's injured and can't play, ticket prices drop by as much as 70% within 48 hours. When she's healthy, games are moved to larger venues just to accommodate the demand. The Washington Mystics shifted their game against the Fever, from their 4,200-seat arena to the 20,000-seat Capital One Arena, specifically because of Clark. The Las Vegas Aces moved their matchup to T-Mobile Arena to make room for thousands of extra fans eager to see Clark face off against Aja Wilson. These aren't just basketball fans, they're Clark fans who happen to be watching basketball.
We're going on vacation to Las Vegas, and we are going to go see Caitlin Clark at the Indiana Fever against the Aces.
No way!
We already have tickets.
Really?
Really?
Thank you. Thank you.
Caitlin Clark, once in a lifetime opportunity.
Thank you, guys.
While other WNBA players are fighting for social media followers and struggling to gain mainstream media attention, Clark is receiving the royal treatment from major publishers. Scrivener, a division of Simon & Schuster, didn't just publish the book, they're promoting it as the cultural phenomenon it truly is. It features dozens of in-depth interviews and exclusive behind-the-scenes reporting that most veteran journalists rarely secure for an unauthorized biography. Brennan spent 6 consecutive weeks covering Clark's first WNBA season, a commitment she persuaded her editor to approve because she understood the significance of what was unfolding.
All right, black and white sports supporters, let's talk about Dejanay Carrington, because she's angry. Dejanay's mad. That's right, she's mad about Christine Brennan's book and some of the stories that are emerging from said book. Now, what's interesting about what it is that Dejanay's saying here is you do realize there were witnesses to said story that came out. And if you actually pulled the journalist in the court, they're going to bring those witnesses in and be like, yeah, she walked in and this is exactly what happened. And the judge is going to look over at you and go,
This wasn't a routine sports assignment, it was the documentation of a cultural shift happening in real time. The fact that Clark never sat down for a one-on-one interview with Brennan makes the book's success even more remarkable. People are buying a book about an athlete who didn't even cooperate with the author simply because they're hungry for honest analysis of the Clark phenomenon. Its commercial success is sending shockwaves through the WNBA, exposing the league's missteps to a mainstream audience. This isn't just basketball insiders reading about league politics, it's every day. Readers learning how badly the WNBA mismanaged the biggest opportunity in its history. Publishers don't greenlight books about athletes unless they see massive public interest. And the fact that this one became a bestseller proves Clark's appeal goes far beyond traditional sports fans.
Ended in Paris, came back, went to Indy, and I was with the Fever every step of the way.
Wow.
I got a chance to ask her 40 to 50 questions. Everything was, nothing was off limits. And she is, as I say in the book, she's 22 going on 40 or 50. Everything
you can
thrown
tell.
at her. I asked her about her like of the Taylor Swift post about Kamala Harris, endorsing Kamala Harris. Would she be endorsing her? You know, you could ask those kinds of questions. Most athletes, as you know, aren't happy when you ask those questions. She looks you in the eye. She gives you long answers. She's direct. She's also very, very funny. And everything was thrown at her. And she handled it in a beautiful way.
One of the most damning revelations in Brennan's book is the league's complete failure to protect its biggest star. A WNBA official admitted to Brennan that most of our players have zero idea what real media exposure is. revealing just how unprepared the league was for Clark's spotlight. But the issue goes far beyond media. It's about physical safety. Clark has endured more flagrant fouls than any other player in the league, with referees repeatedly failing to call them. Her teammate, Sophie Cunningham, has essentially become her unofficial bodyguard because the league won't step in. The book documents the physical intimidation Clark faced in her rookie season, being poked, shoved, and targeted in ways that would never be tolerated if it were LeBron James or Steph Curry. Even tennis legend Chris Evert called Clark the best thing to ever happen to women's basketball and criticized the WNBA's inaction. The optics are so bad that even adult film actresses have publicly called out the league's failure to protect its star. The WNBA eagerly leverages Caitlin Clark for ticket sales, viewership spikes, and national promotions, but refuses to ensure her safety on the court. It's a glaring contradiction. They value her economic impact, but neglect the basic responsibility of protecting their most valuable asset. Brennan's book makes it clear league incompetence came dangerously close to squandering the biggest opportunity in WNBA history.
This is a perfect textbook example of Mean Girls. Woman-on-woman indirect violence. Snubbing a woman who's excellent simply because she got honored. This is an unbelievable example of the ways in which when a woman is excellent or ambitious, other women go silent. Or we start to ask the question, is she likable? That's not relevant. This isn't about likability. This is about whether or not she's excellent. So, sports writers and the public vote her as one of the best point guards in the country. Other women, 9th best? So the men are scratching their heads. This is why we need ampleship. Women supporting other women in front of witnesses because they're excellent.
Sports economist Ryan Brewer projected that Caitlin Clark's economic impact could reach $1 billion this season. And that's not limited to basketball revenue. It includes merchandising, tourism, television deals, and all the broader ripple effects that come with being a cultural phenomenon. Meanwhile, other players are still trying to figure out how to turn social media metrics into real financial influence. The numbers Brennan cites in her book are devastating for the WNBA's reputation. When Clark was healthy and playing, the Indiana Fever averaged 1.81 million viewers per game, but the moment she went down with an injury, viewership plunged to 847,000, a staggering 53% decline that laid bare how reliant the entire league has become on a single player. Ticket prices for Fever games dropped from $137 to $80 without Clark, and even then, arenas were noticeably emptier. The book also reveals that Indiana's combined home and road attendance shattered the single-season WNBA record, with 643,343 fans over 40 games, more than 200,000 more than the next closest team. And it wasn't because the Fever were the best team. It was because fans were traveling hundreds, sometimes thousands, of miles for one reason: to see Caitlin Clark play.
Here in Iowa, we were the first to realize Caitlin's pull on fans. When do you think the WNBA fully realized what it had?
Publicly, I'm not sure that they really have. They certainly know, they have to know, Keith, but in terms of the comments, in terms of the way the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, who I've known and I like, the way she has trouble talking about Caitlin Clark, or if she's asked about Caitlin, then she will say, well, Caitlin and Angel. Well, she wasn't asked about Angel, she was asked about Caitlin.
Perhaps the most damaging chapter in Brennan's book centers on USA basketball's decision to exclude Caitlin Clark from the 2024 Olympic team. According to the book, that choice cost the league and the sport a massive opportunity for international exposure and record-breaking viewership. While the U.S. women's basketball team did win gold in Paris, the audience numbers told a different story. The gold medal game against France drew just 7.88 million viewers, the lowest for a U.S. women's basketball final since 2008. By comparison, even the women's soccer gold medal match outperformed it with 9.4 million viewers. The Washington Post named the decision to leave Clark off the Olympic roster as one of the worst sports decisions of 2024. Don Staley, a member of the selection committee, later admitted on NBC that if given the chance to do it over again, Clark would be in really high consideration. She is playing head and shoulders above a lot of people. Brennan's reporting exposes how key decision-makers underestimated not just Clark's on-court talent, but the transformational impact her presence would have had on the global stage. Her omission didn't just hurt Team USA, it was a missed opportunity for the sport as a whole.
Apparently, the leadership in U.S. women's basketball was so worried about people's reactions to Clark's playing time, so concerned about critical posts on X and Facebook and the like, that they didn't want to deal with any of it. That is honestly, it's not fair to her.
Well, it is, and I've covered the Olympics for a long time, actually since the '84 LA Games, and I've never seen a worse team selection decision ever. Here you've got this person who's not only playing great at that point, her statistics were better than some of the players they did put on the.
The success of Brennan's book proves that Caitlin Clark has become something the WNBA never anticipated, a cultural icon whose influence stretches far beyond the basketball court. Clark emerged as a once-in-a-generation phenomenon more than 50 years after Title Ix began opening doors for women in sports. Her impact isn't just measured in points and assists, it's about reshaping how Americans view female athletes. The book details how Clark's appeal is not only national but global, with fans buying her merchandise and traveling from across the world just to see her play. And that international reach is exactly what makes the WNBA nervous. It confirms that Clark's brand is bigger than the league itself. When asked about the possibility of Clark starting her own league, Brennan replied, "Nike loves her. She's got Wilson. Obviously she's got Gatorade. They could do it. I think they could absolutely put it together in a couple of years." One of the book's most eye-opening revelations is that Clark is earning $40 million annually in endorsements, while making just $76,000 from her WNBA contract. It's a stark reminder of the economic imbalance in women's professional sports, and a clear sign that Clark doesn't need the WNBA. The WNBA needs her. And that power dynamic is making league officials deeply uncomfortable.
And started her own league because of the way she's been treated. Would that work? What do you think?
You know, it's interesting. I thought of that too. Nike loves her. Nike, she's got Wilson, obviously. She's got Gatorade. I mean, even though the salary's, $76,000 for a rookie, it's more this year now. You know, she's making, what is she, $28 million just from Nike alone, according to Wall Street. So she's at, $40 million or whatever. Okay, so fine. So she's doing great. And if Nike said, we're going to make the Nike Clark League,
right?
It would take, obviously it takes a few years to get the arenas and whatever, but the TV contract, I mean,
The panic rippling through the WNBA isn't just about one book hitting the bestseller list, it's about the league's entire marketing foundation being exposed as hollow. For decades, the WNBA tried to build a sustainable product. Then Caitlin Clark arrived and instantly became the dividing line between relevance and irrelevance. When the health of one player determines the league's viewership, ticket sales, and national attention, every injury becomes an existential threat. Brennan's book lays bare how unprepared the league was for the Clark phenomenon. The WNBA's marketing department had no cohesive plan to harness her popularity, no grasp of her cross-demographic appeal, and no strategy to sustain the explosive momentum she created. This is Marketing 101 basic business strategy that any competent organization should have nailed. What makes Brennan's reporting so powerful is her refusal to sugarcoat the truth. In an era where many journalists hesitate to criticize women's sports for fear of backlash, Brennan chooses facts over feelings. She tells the real story, not the sanitized, politically correct version, and in doing so, holds a mirror up to a league scrambling to catch up with the star it never saw coming.